We are live once more. Sorry about last week. Something unexpected came up. Had to do an early one and get moving by about this time. But we're back and a lot going on. We are all talking about, the current world events and the war and gas prices skyrocketing, which I believe I'm going to get some gas uh, today, but I think it's all over $4 a gallon where I am. And diesel for cars, I went past the sheets is five something. So yeah, it's happening. What everybody was afraid of, and a couple weeks ago, what everybody was saying, didn't happen overnight, but we're getting there, and it's not good. Then, of course, I go shopping with the wife. Good morning. And, she can remember the prices of everything in her head. Okay. You know, the 300 items in the friggin' grocery store. And she told me everything has gone up. It used to be these hamburgers, we get these frozen hamburger patties, a stack of them. I don't know how many are in there, but it was a stack. Used to be $19 or something. Now it's 37. Um, and just the condiments like mayonnaise and stuff. She was telling me we were in Costco. She goes, everything has gone up dollars, not like 50 cents, a few dollars. And the economic strain is starting to be seen, and it is getting worse. I got hit with some, minor medical bills, tax time. Okay. And of course, the big thing here, at least locally, but I mentioned something in a video, they've increased the value of your home. Everything has been reassessed, and generally, the reassessment automatically raises your property tax. So we had a property tax, which that cost me 700 and some bucks to get the escrow fund up to where they'd only raise my monthly mortgage $100 or something, like, however the hell that works. But that was 700 and some dollars I had to just choke up to ease the monthly bills and that. So I've been dealing with a lot of that crap here. And of course, I went and changed some of my investments last month, and already they're taking a nosedive. I have to call my uh, whatever the hell he is, accountant or whatever, and change something because I'm not putting anything in, but it's not good. Yeah, it's the storms were not that terrible. So what? Yeah, the wind. That's right. I forgot last week we did lose power for about 4 or 5 hours where I live, and the house didn't get damaged. That's another thing you're dealing with. There was a flash thunderstorm that rolled through here. I mean, yesterday was a nice day. We were working out in the yard and doing things. Um, then this morning, I was waiting a little cloudy, but then we got hit with a thunderstorm about 5 o'clock in the morning. It come through and just disappeared as fast as it showed up. But anyway, in dealing with all of this, natural disasters, the economy, the war dragging on, and all kinds of, if you try to keep track of anything, it appears the Epstein stuff kind of has died down. I guess they had the DOJ had to go to some kind of hearing and something about that one clip, but most of it is about the war. Okay. And again, you have no idea what's going on. okay, because one side says one thing and people have this way of looking at it, and then you got the exact polar opposite with the president and everybody saying this is going this way. But who knows for real what's going on? And a lot of the things they edit out a lot of stuff, so you can't keep informed one way or the other on that. So in the midst of all of this, we thought that when Trump came in, we had all these gun control, like in the title, and this is important because I think I'll explain what I mean. I'm going to make a video about it, but we all thought with these lawsuits and all these foundations you donate your money to, these people went to bat, went into the court, got injunctions, and stopped a lot of this insane gun control stuff. Okay, at least on a federal level. All right. So we're all sitting here. How's it going? We're all sitting here, and we're going to bring up the big one. Was first it was bump stocks, then it was pistol braces, then FTR triggers. So FTR triggers, the thing about them, I tried one out, and the problem with the forced reset triggers is they're supposedly at this point in time legal, though at one point they were not. And every time you touch off a gun, it sounds like an automatic weapon and the law arrives. Okay, so that's why I kind of don't want to fool with them. Okay. And they may not know, just because they're a cop does not make them a gun expert. They may not know that. So you can have an issue, but that's why I kind of don't fiddle around with that stuff. So we had the bump stocks. They supposedly were brought back and they're illegal unless you go to like the state of Florida. They are totally outlawed. Possession or traveling with it or bringing one into the state violates state law and you will go to jail. Okay. I guess you can buy them. They're insanely expensive. They're like $300 or something. So that's kind of why I never really got into getting one. They're, so those came back. And then pistol braces. Okay. And this is the one that I'm going to talk about because bump stocks and forced reset triggers, I ain't going to fool them. But pistols and pistol braces, you've seen on my channel where I tested these old short barreled AR style pistols, a 9mm and everything else. So yeah, I mean, this is what's going on, and this is a big topic. I was gonna make a video, but I got nervous here. Guess. Yes, that's true. Okay, that is gonna make life difficult. But now let's get back to the pistol braces. Morning, Joe. Supposedly, I remember this, you really kind of didn't want to have one because they did this ridiculous thing with 200 or 300 pages, the pistol brace ordeal here, which described just about each and every single device made, okay, to go on the ass end of a shortened up AR-15. Okay. Down. It had gone up over $1 since I filled up. All right. Yeah. So now they supposedly had a court injunction. And I guess the way this whole thing works is they change the ruling without going through the formalities. So the court case one for them changing the ruling or changing the description without going through the proper channels. And that supposedly said, oh, it all went away, it don't matter. Nah. VA said, yep. So now it's come up to where they said that this case is moot and it's been hanging there, but we're still going to enforce the pistol brace thing. So when you go through this, what is there? Now, first of all, most pistol braces, when they went back to the old days or whatever, they had to see what he's saying here. But okay, but there's a lot of confusion. Nothing was ever clearly stated. Okay, it was clearly stated that bump stocks were outlawed. But with the pistol braces, nothing was clearly stated, and it's been a thing of contention over the years. I really didn't have a lot of these. I don't, it's like when I reviewed the 7-inch barrel AR style thing. I can't control the gun. I have no use for it. Pistol caliber, I can control a little bit better. But the way it was, how they just, made it at first, and this is going back, this is a brace and it has this Velcro strap, and you're supposed to open this part. I think everyone's familiar, this soft rubber part, clamp it on your forearm and strap the thing around. It was, unless it looked like this, okay, anything else could be mistaken for a short barrel rifle. Then when you had these, and these do work on a collapsible stock tube, they move, okay. Then there was a thing, if you were seen putting it to your shoulder, you were in violation. But if you had it on there, whatever, I don't know. So then they just said, after they made that 300-page thing, that all of it, anything and everything is fine. I got this. I know a guy, he has something. It's a Thorson or something cheek rest. And what it is just a non-movable tube with this wide, padding on there, pretty heavy, and it's wide. It doesn't move. And what you would do is when you hold the gun, you would put this up against your face, and it's large enough and comfortable enough. I've seen this to where when you hold the gun, you just brace it against your face, not to your shoulder. Okay. And I think he hunts with this one gun. It's in 6.5 Grendel, and he hunts deer with it. But it's a cheek rest. It's not a brace. So now, if and when, yes, this is the thing. It was very confusing, okay, but supposedly the way you had to do it, it had to split and had to have Velcro. Then they come up with stuff like this fin type of deal here. And this looks like a stock. This is rifle stock. So this thing has the outline, but the difference is this is thicker, wider, okay, and heavier than what this is, as you can see side by side. So this is a pistol brace. Now the silhouette, tries to mimic this, but this is a heavier item that has a butt plate, sling swivel, and all this other fun crap, and this kind of doesn't, flimsy. But there was a thing here in North Carolina. They raided a couple, and it was the weird thing. They were illegal bars. Somehow they were selling liquor and stuff, and they didn't have a liquor license or business license or none of this. So two of them got raided. One was in Raleigh, the second one was somewhere else. And of course, they found handguns and money and that in one place. Well, the second place is a similar thing, and I'm not quite sure. I don't think it was in Raleigh, but they raided them. They had liquor. I don't know if they were gambling, and they found marijuana in there, but in also and money and of course guns. There was an assortment of handguns, and there was a supposed AR pistol with the same exact pistol brace on it, short barreled AR 223. Had this. Now, when I purchased from, and I did the video on it, and you guys seen my gun from PSA, this is a pistol lower, and it's an AR lower with this on the brace, or on the back, the brace. And that also has a weird little thing you can put a quick detach sling swivel on it. But they still sell it to this day, and they still sell complete guns with this on the tube and call it a pistol. Now, not to be confused with something like this, I always thought they had to have a butt pad or something. This is one of these skeletonized stocks. This is a collapsible stock. This is a rifle stock. This is a rifle stock. This is the generic ones. Most of your budget ARs have this on there, and there are rifles. And again, it has a butt plate of some sort, like this one. And, you can find pistol braces that kind of look like that, but are set up like this. And I was going to get one from Bear Creek Arsenal, and they have an actual triangle folding thing on one of the 9mm, or they have a 45 ACP. And the only difference between the two side folding stocks is one has something on the end like this, and one has a solid butt plate like this. And they tell you this is if you want to go with a short barrel rifle or a carbine, and this is a pistol brace because the end of it has something like this configuration, the split with the Velcro. All right, so we all kind of know what's what, and I know not to put this or this on a short barreled AR pistol build. Okay. I thought I was safe with this. But when they had that raid and they found that gun, he had this on there, which is a pistol. And a lot of people, when they posted this on Facebook on one of these crime, they show you who's been arrested for what or whatever, and they show all the shit. It said that the ATF has declared that is a short barrel rifle, which is a pretty serious crime. It's one thing to have a gun, handgun, whatever, but short barrel rifle, not registered. I think that's a minimum of 10 in a federal prison. I'm not quite sure what the charges are, but yeah. The ATF told them that is a short barreled rifle. Okay. And like Joe here said, it's kind of vague. And they did the crap of if you hold it to your shoulder, so maybe this is a fin brace, but if I pull the stock out and shoulder this, I think they're saying that this is, you can, I don't know. All right. T or anyone. Yeah, we'll see. The point I'm trying to get to is I believe they make all this crap confusing. It's kind of like North Carolina changed the laws, and they're not concrete, or there's no solid definition. Basically, we have what they call constitutional carry, so you don't need a concealed carry permit to carry a gun concealed. But they added a clause that if you are a known drunkard or addicted to alcohol, which is something that is not on the federal forms, they ask you if you're addicted to marijuana and illegal narcotics, but they don't say nothing about drinking booze. This is, and something about the way the law is written, if you are deemed, I guess you'd call it a public drunkard, or if you are deemed that you have alcohol related problems from some sort of criminal activity or complaints or DWIs or something, you lose your rights to gun rights, according to this. See, the Washington state lawyer, he went over this law, and I seen it. And also, it used to be, I want to sell a handgun, okay, private sale. I'd have to ask them for the pistol purchasing permit, which is basically a background check issued by the sheriff. And I'd have to draw up a bill of sale, then take this, staple it, and keep it with me the rest of my life. Okay, is what the law states. If the person had a concealed carry permit like myself, we would fill the same little form out, sign it, your driver's license number, and a concealed carry permit number. And that would be a legitimate, done with a background check, private sale. Okay, that 100% legal. All right, so now the sheriff don't issue those pistol purchasing permits. Okay, so unless you go to a dealer, that's why the new forms, and I did the new forms that you go to a dealer and fill out, there's private transactions. What they want you to do is I would have to bring the gun down to my transfer guy and say, this is so and so. And then he would do the paperwork, putting it, I'm selling it, this is the person buying it, and then run the background check on that person, facilitate it, and then do that. Now, it is against the law for the United States government to keep a database of who owns stuff. There's two things going on. Two, or going back to the pistol brace thing, now the ATF has set you up to where you got something you think is legal, and now you can get burned for a short barreled rifle. This is something they've done where if, and I see it where if they want you for some other offense, but they can't quite prove it, then if they find you with this and say it's a short barreled rifle, now they got you on a pretty serious charge. And I forget, one guy said there's like 3 million of these things floating around the country, supposedly illegal. Now you can just, and I think it's one of these laws that they're just going to turn it on you when it's convenient. And another thing they do, and that's how they catch people that are flipping guns or whatever, they can't keep a database. So that's why the ATF was consistently and very regularly auditing people. Like my one transfer guy, he used to go to gun shows, he used to sell guns. He doesn't do that anymore. He's like in his late 70s, almost 80 years old. But he makes a good income from doing transfers. They would constantly come in every other month and audit him. And what they're doing when they audit the paperwork, making notes, they're looking to see like if my name comes up from 1 month to 2 months later, and there are several purchases of like High Points or something. And this is how the ATF kind of zeroes in on you as an illegal gun dealer. Now that was another thing. I don't know if that went away. They got things that if you keep records of what you bought and paid for the guns, if you keep them in the box they came in, which like the ones behind me there, those come in the box with the label on it. Now, because I keep my pistols in the hard cases they came in, does that make me a dealer or something? And I never heard if this was eliminated or gone. And I guess how they catch is during these audits. I mean, the one guy, the one case that made the news, he was asking for. He was buying like in 1 month, he would buy 9 Glock 17s and 6 or 7 AR-15s. Okay, I mean, I have a collection of them, but this was like every month. Okay, and he purchased in a matter of so many months. And how they were finding this out is there's not a database on what you buy. What they're doing is auditing the dealers and noticing who was, and that's how they catch you or catch wind of you. Then if they believe that you're doing this, they kind of follow you around to wherever, gun shows or something, or even arms list. If you're listing or selling, used to be you put it in the newspaper or ad to sell a shotgun or something. That's how old I am. You used to be able to do that. And that's how you sold a lot of privately. That's how you sold guns. You just put an ad in a damn local newspaper. But are they going to trip you up now? They're going to burn you on this because that unlicensed dealer thing, I don't know whatever happened with that. Okay, see, nothing's clear. Supposedly, pistol braces are cool, but now don't look it. Okay, and the DOJ is going along with this, so you can see that along with everything else going on and the financial hardship, what's going to happen as the economy gets worse? Crime is going to rise. There's going to be more theft. There's going to be more trespassing. There's going to be more violent crime. Okay, because people are going to be hurting for money, and it's already terrible as it is. Okay, it's just going to get worse. That's where, when you guys ask me, well, what's your shit hit the fan gun or something? Well, pretty soon it's going to be one of these things that I'm going to keep on me at all times and hide it in the vehicle whenever I go somewhere. Or go to where I'm carrying a concealed handgun day in and day out, which I don't do now. I don't feel the need for it. Okay, when I go out in the afternoon to the supermarket, I feel safe. If I was out after dark and staying out till 11 midnight, 1 in the morning, yeah, that's a different story. But I'm home asleep at that time mostly. So yeah, but yeah, it's going to get to where I've already had issues with people wandering around through this. The teenagers, they get bored, but they tell you install cameras. So that's another added expense. Getting something that works halfway decent isn't cheap. And so now security, more expenses, more things to monitor. Uh, we're thinking of going on a little trip, but kind of cancel it because if things keep escalating, it's a matter of time before maybe there's stuff going to happen here or some kind of. Well, there's already one guy wearing some kind of T-shirt with Allah on it and went and shot all them people at a bar or restaurant in Texas. Let's see what we're saying. Yeah, I mean, the woman didn't know what day of the week it is. Well, another thing they're trying to do, another one of these laws, not so much the pistol brace, is 3D printed guns. I guess Washington State again. If you 3D print any gun part, stock, sling, swivel, or something, you got to have an FFL. Okay, you got to have an FFL. And then they want a law to where they'll have AI seek out and find the computer software. These things run much like a CNC machine. If you machine a part out, you make a program. I used to do that. It's very similar thing. Okay, I've never programmed it. It's kind of like a robot welder. The guy showed me the program there. It's different than what the hell I use in a milling machine or a lathe, but it's a program. Now they're going to outlaw having the software, kind of like gambling software. If you have a computer program, which is a random number generator for anything, possession of that is illegal. Okay, that's the computer program that does the little slot machines and stuff. If you have some sort of computer program that does that, that's a gambling device. That's illegal. It's illegal to own that. So that's another thing. So now they want to outlaw 3D printers, and if you print any kind of a gun part, you're breaking, I guess, the state law. It's not a federal, but it's insane. It's kind of like they said with the 80%, how can you outlaw a block of aluminum? Okay, if you had a CNC program, billeted uppers and lowers, you take a solid block of aluminum, and Bear Creek Arsenal shows you cutting the aluminum stock, and they machine them out right there. Okay, if you had some sort of CNC machine, how do you stop that? Outlaw the programming? It's crazy. Let's see. All right. Got Lithuania. All right. Hope everything's going fine over there. Ain't heard much about it in the news lately. Anyway. All right. Kind of don't really understand that. And top comments with this live stream. Blink, I've seen them cameras. Those are the ones you can charge, and they hold a charge for 6 months or something. Show comments. So they say, okay, like I said, this is another thing. Don't know what's real, because you're hearing stuff that conflicts. Supposedly they blew up where they got the centrifuges and their nuclear bomb making thing in Iran. And then they hit this nuke facility in Israel, and blowing up the oil fields are going to screw everybody over. And like somebody else was saying here, with everything being blocked, fertilizer, this and that, they said they might cause a damn global famine here on top of everything else. And it looks like that maybe they're right. If you go on Redacted, they said that they control the weather, and the weather's been pretty weird here this year. Arlo cameras. But yeah, now you got to have, security again. At one point in time, that really wasn't a problem. This development was off the beaten path where I lived, and I was surrounded by a majority, when I first moved here 20 years ago, retired people. Because it was a little bit more expensive to live here than to go to most of your middle class neighborhoods where the houses were about 25% less. That's where a family would go. and be able to afford a decent home and raise kids. Most of the people here around me, there really were no children. Okay, when I first moved here, they're all retired people that had a nice home and everything else. But that has changed, and plus the school district kind of sucks, so that kept a lot of people from moving here. I'm done, but my laundry out of the dryer, and I have nothing planned Tuesday. All right. Kind of sounds like what I got to do. I just got to go pick up pine needles from my wife sometime this week. And I don't know. I won't know till today. I got to go out and see what the hell gasoline here is locally. Uh, but something tells me it's a lot more than what the hell I paid last time. So my driving is going to be curtailed. I wish I could. I really wish I could. Yeah, I seen some of them. PSA's got them too, 199. And a lot of the guys, they show you a nice gun, but then when you get it, like 70% of the finish on the slide is gone and everything. And yeah, but I guess you know you can. I've used Durcoat. I think what it is, the spray on stuff. If you got a sandblaster, you can blast the frame in that. And then Durcoat, they have just a can where you bust it and mix it in a can or rattle can. And that's enough to do, they say, a full size rifle or a handgun, and then spray the stuff. And that's another thing. I was doing the Durcoat years ago. Before I was even on YouTube, I was using it to finish guns. And I'd buy the paint and then the hardener. And over time, it's only good for 6 months. Then the stuff congeals in the bottles. I had to throw a ton of it away, but I like it. It's a good finish, without getting expensive. Or how much pay. Yeah, that's kind of critical in the way things have uh, been recently, and it's a good position to be in, not in debt. Yeah, new batch of Euro returning M1s, but they're looking. I think they're all a grand or something. I don't know what or how they advertise it. They don't advertise it. I know Navy Vet 76. He'll show up. He just got one. All right. Does anybody know what the price on them are? I think uh, somebody did say something. I forget because there's several guys out here. Oh, here we go. M1 carbines. They got a thing. Rockola, standard products, quality hardware. Browse now. Okay, they got a listing now. Ooh, 1800. Ah, Rockola. Not found. Must have sold it. Postal meter. 13.99 for a international postal meter. Inland, I think, was made most. 1100. Handpick option. Add another 100. I already have one. and I did not pay $1,000 for one. So I got my answer there. Let's see where he is. I'm busy though. I'm going to do my, if you guys remembers, I'm doing my 5.56. I got some powder. I got some bullets. I got pull downs for 55 grain. And I mean, the price has gone up on everything. Even, and I think, you're all asking me about the tariffs. Well, PPU bullets are slightly more expensive than, or about the same price as Hornadays, which Hornadays were always a couple pennies more and they're good bullets. But yeah, I think that is part of the tariff or something, because PPU stuff was always, their bullets are always 1,000 undersized, and some of them aren't the best. I kind of stay away from them in handgun calibers, but for 6.5 Carcano, it's the only option you got now to get them the correct diameter. And a lot of their other, the 8 millimeters, 7 millimeters. I was doing 7 millimeter Mauser and all that, and 6.5 bullets. I've used them and they're good. And they were always less expensive. They got them in, but I went and looked, checked it out. 12. Some of them are 1,809, depending on the makers of them. Okay. Yeah. And nobody's showed a bore, because I forget who it was. I know Navy Vet 76 bought one. Somebody else bought one. I forget. And he said, get one that you can see the picture or something. I am not quite sure. Yeah. Yeah, you go first. Yeah, because I believe what it is they overproduce. The reason 9 millimeter was cheap is they overproduced the stuff. And they just had a huge glut of it sitting there. And it's starting to go up because, slowly, the inventory's gone. They're getting new inventory. Now they're going to raise the price up again. Or they just stopped ordering it, or they're not making it. I know 5.56, it's getting more expensive. Okay. And even with the reloading, reloading, and several of you guys have told me to try that Shooter's World powder, because that stuff I could get for 40. Well, it's actually, like I said in my explanation on that, it's $10 more with the hazmat and that. So I'm getting that for $50 a pound as compared to $60, $70 a pound. I want to give that a try, but I don't know. We'll see how it does. Yeah, because that's the truth. When you see something like I said, primers or powder something, I just immediately buy it, because the next time you see it, or you may not see it again. I went out on a limb and bought 2 8-pound kegs before an increase a couple years ago, and I got them delivered for a little over $300 a piece. And I use that powder an awful lot for a reloading project. Now the same thing would cost me $500 to get, so that 600 went to, it would be $1,000 for me to get the 2 kegs of the IMR powder, which I don't even know if IMR is making any powder for retail sale at this point in time. Arsenal molds. Okay, those are a good mold. The NOE molds, I got several of them that are, for like the 303 and 7 millimeter Jap, the 180 grain bullets, 200 grain bullets. I think I did cast some for the Swiss because somebody was asking me for them, and I haven't cast any. I was using a lead bullet in the old Swiss rifle. Uh, has that weird three groove rifling. I was using one there. It was like a 200 grain bullet. This year. Were they military ones? See, at first batches that came in the Royal Tiger, I don't know how good they were. Okay. But they weren't quite a grand. All right. So they may have been really beat up. I know they had some old ones with this little simple sight that weren't reworked, you know. So it's tough. I got one I bought years and years ago, and I don't need to have a collection of them. I know some people do collect M1 carbines. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just the price of it. Yeah, you should be able to find one for less than that. But, well, it's like I went to the gun show and asked the guy, M1 Garands were 1,800. Some nice ones were over 2 grand. And I asked the guy, "Are you selling it or did you buy it?" And he said he bought it. And he said the guy had like 1,800 on it. And he let me look at it. It was a standard issue M1 Garand, nothing special. I guess he probably might have paid 15 or 14 for it or something. It's a nice gun, but again, you're right, but you're correct in your assessment and advice there. Yeah, but then that ain't cheap ammo. Barnes bullets and that. A lot of these bullets are kind of on the expensive side of town. Depends how much shooting you're doing. Like for 5.56, I don't know how much ammo I went through just testing these things, shooting 5 rounds or something, 5, 10 rounds. I mean, easily burned up a few thousand rounds testing 4 or 5 guns. Um, that's why I kind of want to load it up and just do something with that brass. I got buckets and buckets of brass. 3-inch COL fits my K31. All right. $100. Yeah, they were available for a while, but then people were donating Barrett Prime brass to me, and that you can't find the primers. Okay, uh, so it's kind of turned useless. And see, I don't know why they stopped importing them. I mean, a lot of them were Wolf and came from Russia. That may be a problem, but I remember you can find them, and I think there are other manufacturers, but now they're impossible to find. One. Oh, that's right. They were given as aid way back when, and that's where they came from. That's right. These are all coming out of Europe, which the carbines were given when we occupied after the war and they formed the police forces. I guess the German police force used them forever. That's what we gave for the civilian law enforcement. We gave them M1 carbines. So there was a ton of them throughout Europe uh, for a period of time. I know they must be coming out of Germany. He's getting a lot of weird crap out of Germany, the PPKs and that and all this other stuff. So there's got to be something still hanging around somewhere. Yeah, somewhere in Europe. They're probably in better shape. They're probably stored inside a building, first of all, instead of a goat pen. Hey, how's it going, Peter? Morning from Phoenix. Yeah, I don't know. I have some of it. I think I got a few hundred cases laying around, maybe, or less. I don't know. I found some rummaging around. I know I got 50 brand new ones, so I ain't gonna be looking. And I forget what I paid for them all them years ago. They came in back in the 80s. The Koreans dumped a ton. Well, like with the Blue Sky and that, there was a ton of carbines that come in, and they were pretty beat up. And I don't think so, because them Garands were supposed to come. Somebody went to look at M1 Garands in the Philippines and all this other stuff, and they got some kind of ruling that if that was given as military aid, it can't be sold on the open market. It's got to come back to the government. So I don't know if they're going to ship all this crap back to the government and it'll go through the DCM or Civilian Marksman, CMP, or who the hell knows. I haven't kept up with it. But yeah. But yeah, guys, best be careful. You know, this pistol brace thing, you know, don't know if you're going to get caught or burned. Like I said, you kind of got to be doing something to bring the liquor board or the state police down looking for your ass. And, you know, if you're doing something illegal and transferring a lot of money, that's why these people carry guns. Okay. That's the long and short of it. But, you know, that's pretty screwed up because that is a serious charge, short barrel rifle. And even if it's a bullshit thing, okay, we're talking about the economy and money and everything. Even if you could find a lawyer that'll get this thing dismissed or something somehow, the amount of money it's going to cost you just to get your ass out of trouble is not gonna be a nice thing. I mean, it's kind of like they're setting these damn gun laws up and keeping them so vague that they can just trap people on technicalities. All right, you know, if they're selling them legally and saying it's a pistol, I mean, I can go and buy several AR style pistols with this on there, but for them to say it's a short barreled rifle, you know, why are they allowing them to sell it as a pistol? You know, but they did call it. That's when they caught them jerk offs and whatever the hell they were doing. ATF said short barrel rifle. That's charges coming up. So, you know, you got this into play. And what I'm seeing is you can't, you know, you guys are complaining about the prices of reloading stuff. You can't find a lot of reloading components, either bullets. Like try finding some 22 full metal jacket 55 grain or even 62 grain. I mean, they're expensive as hell if you can find them. A lot of them are sold out. I kind of had a tough time. I had to buy on the 62 grain FMJs. I had to buy $3,000 of them. Okay. And got them at a decent price. So I guess I'll be reloading an awful lot of them and firing them through my guns if I can get it all to work out right. Because there's always still, for some reason, whenever you resize, even if you resize with small base dies and size the brass, once fired brass never goes back to them factory dimensions. Okay, because the one guy was saying, and once you fire them, you could get another grain of a certain powder in there. Case capacity went up. That means they're not going back to the original factory spec. Okay, and even when they go in and out of my case gauge, my reloading case gauge, after I size them and load them, some of these guns won't take them. They lock up in there, they jam, they won't chamber. And I got to study this and look into it, and I got enough examples here to try to figure out what the hell it is. I don't know if I'd have to uh, put some sort of a dye or something on there and see where they bind or scratch it off or something. That might be something I'll do, try to figure out that problem. Yeah, see, that's like a popular size. And that's another thing I'm wondering. What are you gaining? I know the government, the M4 is a 14-inch barrel, 2 friggin' inches, and you ain't got the hassle. But what they do is they make these guns with these short barrels, and then they pin and weld a flash suppressor, and it's also threaded to take a sound suppressor, okay, which adds that it'd be an inch or 2 inches on there. But like they said, unless you got that brand of suppressor that fits on the threads or however they lock with a bayonet type mounting or whatever, then you're stuck to having to use that type or brand of suppressor without being able to change it. To where if you just had a removable device on the end of the threaded barrel, which is 16 inches long, if you wanted to use something else, you could always just remove that fairly easily and change it over. It's, I don't know. They should just abolish the damn law and call it a day. But I doubt very much we've seen where they were going to do that with suppressors. They got rid of the tax, but they did not get rid of the registration part. Okay. Yeah, I mean that's the thing about 5.56. When you fire that shit rapid fire, I mean you go through a shitload of ammo, and truthfully, 55 grain ammo is 55 cents a round. 62 grain, or even the specialized one, 62 grains about 75 cents a round, you figure. And then you get into the real heavy bullets that everyone, likes. That's over $1 a round. So you load up your magazine and gun down the hillside or whatever, or shoot at things, that's 30, $60 right there. For the ARs, I might go out and shoot today. For what I paid for it, the damn thing works. Somebody said that the internals are moving or something. I don't know. But to hit like a steel plate or silhouette or something, even being off that much with your shot, okay, if you're shooting at 100 yards or something at an 8-inch plate, you're going to hit it. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, 100 beans compared to 3.5, yeah, that's fine. Of course, I haven't shot like 5,000 rounds through the damn gun either. I'm waiting if I can afford to drive all the way to my gun range without going bankrupt with the gasoline, and get a nice day, get up there early in the morning, go out 100, 200 yards and see what the hell the thing does. That's what I'd like to do, or eventually I'm going to do that. Right now, I'm trying to work up some reloads, and then that way, see how the reloads run compared to, stock ammo. That's what you find out. Oh, but yeah, it's weird. Put it to you that way. Everything's weird. see how this damn war and everything is going. They're going to crash the global economy and change money and stuff. They're already warning that all these things are going south, that BlackRock's losing money. They're already restricting where you can't pull out your funds from a lot of these investment things. 10-shot magazines. I use the 20 rounders. They're easy to put in and out from the damn when you're on a rest. That's just for regular, because like diesel fuel for cars is over $5 a gallon where I am. All right, glad you can make it. Yeah, like I said, I don't know. I gassed up a week ago or something. I really didn't go nowhere. And it didn't go up that much. Let me see. Let me see. Staples. All right, what the hell are we going? Oh, tobacco product. This is, yeah, $42.99 for the 5.7 ammo. And a bar tab. Don't have gas. I tried keeping one. Well, this might be it. No. Dentist bill. Ah, yes. First of the month was this is still $2.59. I think it went up to $3.20 from $2.59. Oh, get yourself asbestos clothing if you do that. Yeah, but BlackRock, a lot of the places are trying to remove or get out of there. My wife has a 401k money coming in, and nobody just pulls it out without being taxed. It's not so much the 401ks. There's a lot of pension funds and that are put in there. I don't know who the hell even gives you a pension no more. Okay. But yeah, 401k, any 401k, you're not getting your money out. Okay. But BlackRock had an issue where investors were kind of fading away. That could be on a banking type of level, not the regular person type of thing. Well, they are. Okay, they're different than actual handguards. But if you want to lay the money down for some used ones that may have teeth missing and have been around for 40 years or so, you can spend more money and get real ones if you want. I mean, to me, it makes no difference. Okay. Yeah, they got a little bit of flex in them, but I don't know where you're going to find them. Yeah, but I mean, that's just down the road. It's going to crash. See, that's just a pain right in the ass. If you ask me, it's not good. Yeah, that company, a lot of issues about that company. Uh, that aren't really good, but we'll see how all of this plays out in the world arena here. Uh, how all this stuff's going. Oh, I don't know. But it looks like been over an hour. That I have no idea what the hell is going on. Gold and all that was projected to skyrocket. Okay, silver went up over $100 an ounce. And in most places that are not connected to Kitco and all that, because I think it went down to somewhere in the high 60s. Let me examine that real quick. Yeah, 67.69. It was 74.65 for a high in that last day of trading, and gold has dropped to 4,490. I think it hit a peak $1,000 higher. Okay, that was true. If you go like in China, or not China, in Japan and other places, it was going for $100 an ounce. Even when they said 80, that's what people were paying. Okay, there's still a shortage. That's not changed. And basically, with the world economy teetering on a total collapse, gold was driven up because everybody was, backing, all the national banks were backing their uh, money with it, or just having some sort of liquidity or some kind of value. So how the hell it dropped 1,000? I don't know. And if you try to analyze it, like people who are good at that, uh, that's what the analyst. I thought they were going to drop interest rates earlier this year. All the signs for that coming were happening, and I moved some money into the bond market. That if they drop interest rates, I make out. If they raise them or keep them high, I don't. So now I got to go and reverse that decision. But silver, there is a shortage. But see, a lot of it too, if it's not going through COMEX, they say the damn manufacturers just went and made a deal with the mine or something, which, the mine, I don't know if they refine. I think I know Sunshine Mine up there does, but some of the mines don't refine the silver. So I guess they went to the ones that do, and they just buy the 1,000-ounce bars from them directly. It doesn't go into the system, okay? And so this is probably what's affected silver. There's still a shortage and everything else. And I forget what one guy said. What people personally hold is not that earth changing of an amount. I don't know. Why it's gone down, I don't know. They say the dollar's strong. They're not dropping the interest rates. It's all a lie. And like we say here, manipulation, plain and simple. CME, COMEX, is that what you're saying? Manipulated. And that's true. The system is set up to bankrupt you and not let you get ahead. Firearms, okay, they're going up. They were selling the excess last year and you got deals. There are still some guns out there that you can get a killer deal on, mostly the Turkish guns or something that ain't selling. But the price is going up and it's going to stabilize, because I think another thing too is if the factories have any sense, they're not going to be overproducing the guns. They probably cut back on what they're putting out there, like Ruger and all that. I know Colt stopped making any AR platforms for the civilian market. FN, they said it shut down, but I think they're making a new version of the SCAR or whatever. And the PPK, that line that come out, PPKs are being made in the U.S., PPKSs. They shut their production line down because they're not selling. You can still get them, but if they ain't moving a product, why are they going to spend the money to produce it when no one's picking it up or ordering it? As for mill surplus guns, like I said, I've seen some things go in auctions for insane amount of money or high prices, the $600-700 mark. I've seen the same item go for, of course, it's close to $5, but then again, you're looking at that 28% fee. It's weird. People are asking for the milsurp stuff pretty high, but now a lot of it coming in, like CZ83s and that. If you had a real nice one with that leather holster, like when they first come in the country years ago, people want $400 for them or more. Now you can buy them for $199.99. They're beat up, but it's still a functioning gun. So I don't know. If you go into a recession, if you got a bunch of cash and you can go, and if people get desperate, you can go and pick up some deals. But who knows? There's no way of telling. Certain guns are still high, certain ones are not. And the milsurp market is like, I've seen people have a lot of stuff out there up on GunBroker with a high price, kind of like an average price, and it's not really moving that fast. But India has. Of course. Oh yeah, that's true. But when I hit 100, if you see, the hard thing is trying to get somebody to pay a spot. Okay. A lot of dealers just couldn't do it because they couldn't send it to the refiners or send it to the wholesalers, so they wouldn't buy the stuff at any price. That's when you have that huge short period of volatility, unless you're lucky or something. But there's some people that made out. But one thing is, if you're buying at 100, 110, man, your ass hurts now. Yeah, they are. Yeah, $18 an ounce. I think I remember paying 22, 23. Now I got in late. Yeah, but still, at 60, it's double your money. Yeah. I mean, but if you listen to some of those guys that have been around doing this, It's not easy. It's a tough business, okay? Buying and selling. And with the volatility the way it is, who the hell knows where it's gonna go? It's like mill surplus guns. Okay. You take, say, Swedish Mauser, they go for about 600, 700. Okay. A nice one. And you show it to one guy and say, give me seven. And bang, he wants it, it's gone. You go to somebody else, they're going to tell you it's only worth $250. It's all I'm paying you for it. Now, see, again, you got to find somebody that wants it. I know people that you mention gold or silver, they look at you like you're offering them a bag of dog shit, okay? Because it's something you got to know about, it's something you got to stay on top of. You know, it isn't, oh, where is it? Oh, yeah. You know, it ain't this. You can walk in the store with a bunch of these and get a pack of cigarettes or whatever, put gas in your car. You walk in there with an ounce of silver, they're not taking it. Okay, so a lot of people just don't want to deal with it. And I was surprised the amount of people. It's very rare for me to run across somebody that's either still into coin collecting or somebody that fools around with the metals and knows what it's worth. It's very, very few people. Okay. They do. I mean, you know, you guys want to buy any silver rounds or something? They're like, you know, that's what it is. They're not into the market. You have to know what you're doing. See, that's where these people hoard this stuff, pass away, and then like my brother took a whole pile of silver dollars and stuff my parents had. He went to a jewelry store and they gave him 75% of spot. Okay. And he just wanted threw it on there, whatever. Get rid of it, give me money. We don't want to fool with this. This, you know. And yeah, it happened. I said you should have gave me the damn stuff and I would have liquidated it over time and got a lot more money out of it than what the hell you did. But nah, ain't gonna happen. But all right, guys, I'm gonna get going. And thanks for stopping by. The conversation was interesting, and I will see everybody next week at this time. All right. Thank you.